Good morning, AO Southwest. My name is Paul Vassallo, your Director of Leadership Development. We are coming to you live from the Phoenix studio on this beautiful Tuesday morning after tax day. We hope you all got that in and done yesterday. But it is April 16th. We are very, very excited to be with you in the studio today. We've got a great leadership message. We've got a ton of recognition for a huge week, wrapping up the week. But most importantly, we've got the one and only Jacob Hogan live in the studio with us to talk to you about his story. And it's an amazing story of not only perseverance, but just what is possible in one short year to go from MGA in 4 months to advisory council to 6 figures all in your first year. So this is definitely one to where you do not want to miss. Take your pen and paper out. You're going to want to take a lot of notes throughout the course of this broadcast. But we've got a couple of housekeeping things. So please, in the bottom hand, the chat section of the YouTube channel, go ahead and sign in for the moderator, because we are tracking attendance every week to make sure that the managers are on to be able to pour into them every single week. So please make sure you and your team do sign in every single week. Second, we've got a lot of big things coming up. We've got our awards ceremony on April 27th to wrap up the first quarter. And it was an amazing first quarter. Some of you went out and did some absolutely amazing things. And we are going to recognize you in a big family potluck on the 27th of April at the Tempe office. So make sure you are there. Make sure your spouse is there. Make sure your pipeline is there, because we want to make sure that they see all of what you all are doing. And then shortly thereafter, I think it's the following Wednesday on May 1st, we are so excited about the launch of the Ladies Rising movement. And so all of the women from all across the country are actually coming in. We are getting word that this Ladies Rising movement is taking a life of its own. And so May 1st, if you don't know about it, ask your manager about it. If your manager doesn't know about it, ask one of the women in the office, because they will know about it. So make sure you are plugged into that event. And especially if you're one of the women across all over the our 7 agencies, make sure you, if you're not flying in, that you're plugged in, because we will have Zoom or Facebook Live, Instagram Live. But I highly encourage you to be a part of it. We have people flying in from all over the country. So stay tuned for May 1st and more from Ladies Rising here soon. So with all of that, we're going to get right into it today. We've got an action-packed show, so we're going to jump right into recognition, and we're going to go right into referrals collected. So we're going to start with the podium as always. So coming in and with the bronze medal, Mitch Messer. And a quick shout out to Mitch Messer for his promotion to MGA yesterday. So congratulations, Mitch. This is the last time you'll be on the SA and below category here. For 49 referrals collected last week. Great job, Mitch. We had Chad and Jesse come in with a tie for first place with 79 referrals collected last week. So good job, guys. Keep that up, because when you collect a referral, the whole idea is to then go ahead and book the referral. So we're going to talk about now next referral presentations. And what's great is the top 3, we're all tied for first place. When you talk about the top 3 people collecting the most referrals, it's probably going to lead to the most referral presentations and lead to the most success. So you see here, Mitch Messer, Abby Ames, and Jesse Holland all had over double-digit referral presentations last week. So great job to the 3 of you, because you're going to see what that translates to in the amount of families protected. And so when we start talking about the top 3 families, or the top 3 people this week on the podium, Trey Bestwick put one of his best weeks together prior to his move and him taking his MGA ship out to Dallas with 7,440 ALP this week. Mitch Messer, you see him at the top of the referrals collected board, the referral presentations, and now to see him number 2 in ALP is not a shock, at 7,593 ALP reported last week. But number 1, Kingsley went out and had the week of his life. So I did challenge him and the new MGA, Matt Agnetti, out of the Tempe office to a karaoke competition for the loser, and apparently they're going to buy a suit as well. So it looks like Matt will be singing at agency on Monday. So stay tuned for that and get your cameras ready. So good job, Kingsley, on going out and having your best week. And then now, We have been hearing about the MGAs want their recognition too. They've been in the field, they've been doing big things all year. So you asked, and now you're getting it. So here we go. We've got the top 3 MGAs in the field last week. The brandly new promoted Trace Johnson out of the Dallas office with over 4,600 in AOP reported. David Stafiri and Dustin Dunbar both out of the Phoenix office. David with 5,200 AOP and Dustin Dunbar #1, 5,500 in AOP reported last week. Great job, guys, leading from the front as MGAs. Now we're getting into our productivity score again. We talk about this every single week. You want to make sure that you show up on the board consistently, because that's going to ultimately lead to you having the most productivity and the most production for yourself, because you're showing up week in and week out and collecting referrals, booking referrals, and selling referrals. So Trey Bestwick rounding out the top 3 this week with 23, his highest productivity score so far. Jesse Holland is outmatched this week by 1. She had a 27 productivity score to the one and only AKA Mitch Messer, 28 productivity score this week. Mitch, great job again as you take your MGA ship leading from the front. But now let's look at the consistency score. It's great to 1 week be up top of the leaderboard and to make sure that you are continuing to progress, but Miss Jessie Holland, it has not relinquished the consistency score over the last 8 weeks. So you see Lamar Smith coming in here as the bronze medal with a consistency score just over 8. Larry Potluck, Mr. Consistency out of the Chicago office with 14 as a consistency score, but Jessie Holland again with over 21 as a consistency score over the last 8 weeks. So Jessie, that is an amazing feat, and it's only just getting started with you. So keep up the good work. And so we are actually going to dive into a leadership message today, talking about the concept of mastery. One of the things that when you talk to Dustin Wienekamp about his story, his first 2 years, he'll tell you was very critical, because when you talk to him about his story, he talked to his father after about almost 2 months. He wanted to actually look at leaving the business. But he said, look, son, no Wienekamp leaves anything after 2 months. Give it 2 years of everything you got and let's see what happens. Well, you fast forward 16, almost 17 years now, and obviously you can understand the amount of success that Dustin has had. But when you speak to him about the first 2 years of being in business, you talk to him about such a critical time in his business, because that's where he was a young man coming out of college and really developing himself to become this professional that has taken over more territory than anybody else has throughout the course of his career, and truly impacted so many people's lives. And so what we want to talk about is those 2 years, and really the mastery program that Dustin has been talking about designing for your 2 years, the first 2 years in the business. Because ultimately, it's like going back to school. If you didn't go to college, it's kind of like high school, right? When you're a freshman in school, you don't know where anything is, right? You don't know where the bathrooms are. You don't know where the gymnasium is probably the only place you know, because it's the biggest building that you can see from the outside of the school. But when it comes down to it, it's truly you're lost. You don't know where class is. You don't know what to expect. You don't know anything like that. And when you start your career here, it's very similar to that, because you're learning a new language. You're learning life insurance. You're learning potentially maybe how to sell. You're learning how to lead and develop people. And so when Dustin talks about developing this 2-year mastery program, mastering sales, recruiting and training, productivity and leadership development, it's truly an MBA of sorts, because instead of being in theory in the classroom, being taught from a business professor who's never actually run a business, you're actually learning the application in a hands-on format of being able to develop yourself. And so what we wanted to talk about today was really the principle of mastery and the 10,000 hour rule, and why that's so important. Because when you talk about 10,000 hours and you have now mastered your craft, I challenge you all to think about, take an inventory and take a step back on it. How many hours have you put in? How close would you say you are to mastering your craft? And if you've ever been around, we talk about being a pro, right? Become a pro at what you're doing. Become a pro at in the home and collecting referrals and selling and helping those families. Become a pro in the office, in the systems, in learning how to hire someone, develop someone, get them into the system and have them come out the other side as a top producing agent. And so when you talk about putting the 10,000 hour rule to our business, that's really where we talk about mastery. And so there's a great book out there by Daniel Coyle. It's called The Talent Code. I encourage you all to go out there and read it, because it talks about mastery, but it talks about people from all different backgrounds of athletics or music, arts, all different types of backgrounds, but you see the difference in the type of preparation, but ultimately coming down to the 10,000 hour rule of mastering your craft. And in today's day and age, when you can jump on Instagram and see anybody who is this overnight celebrity or overnight success, or you turn on the TV and you see America's Got Talent or the NBA playoffs or something like that, you see all of these people who have been working so hard behind the scenes, but yet what we see is the final product. And in this instant gratification society that we live in, I think sometimes people get lost in the fact that what we're seeing from these people is hours and hours and hours of countless work to get to the level that they're at. But we just happen to see them audition on American Idol, and we're completely blown away because we think they've just been singing in the shower for the last 15 years. They've been working at this their whole life and truly just have been ready for this moment that they're now taking advantage of. And so how does that apply to you in your business? Well, when you first come in, again, being that freshman in school, you don't know what to do, where to go, who's who, and you're that new face in the office. So I challenge you to reach out to somebody. The first person you see in the office, introduce yourself and just ask them where you are and where you can go for training room, the fishbowl, where the restrooms are, all of those things. Don't be shy in that sense, because then you're going to be able to start those relationships. But ultimately, you're going to start to plug into agency meetings. You're going to start to plug into the trainings. You're going to start to go through the licensing process. Put as much time as you can in around what you have going on, because truly that is where the development is going to come to allow you to be on the leaderboard amongst your peers, coming in at the #1 spot, because it's taking them time to develop. But what's beautiful about it is these people are always, majority of them are all in their first year or within their first 2 years. And so you can be up there writing 10,000, 15,000 in premium a week in just the same amount of time, but you just have to talk to them about what their commitment level was like, what their after-hour preparation was like, what they were doing when they got home or writing in the car or listening to their script and studying those things. And so that's what we wanted to talk to you about today with the mastery of your business, because when you become a pro and when you dedicate that time to it, that's when the doors are going to completely open and you'll be able to begin to see the success just like you are of your peers that are on the leaderboards every single day. And so what we're going to do is we're going to transition into our Takeaway Tuesday segment, okay? And so one of the biggest things that we want to make sure that we do every single week, you see the hashtags in the bottom of the screen, hashtag Takeaway Tuesday, hashtag nextgenleadership. We want to make sure that you guys are getting all of the recognition you deserve and that you need out there on social media nowadays to really blow up your following and bring attention to this business, bring attention to our agency, because of the way social media and these platforms are now allowing us to reach so many people. So every week, make sure you plug into the podcast, make sure that you're using the Takeaway Tuesday and the Next Gen Leadership on your Instagram story after the podcast is done to tell us what your top takeaway was for the week. So again, every week, plug in, make sure you give your top Instagram story of the takeaway, and when you're chosen and you tag all of us included, so tag Jake Hogan today, tag myself, Marcus, and the AIO world, so we can see and then have a conversation about what the top takeaway was for the week. So we're actually going to send this out to David Carpenter, who was the top takeaway from the last week past.
What's up, AOTV? The biggest thing I took away from Justin Herman and Trace Johnson's stories was their faith. Justin Herman had a lot going for him, and you know, everyone else would have thought he was crazy, but he jumped and he saw the vision. He took massive action, and that's why he's running Dallas today with Trace Johnson. So that was the biggest takeaway, is have faith. Okay, you need to believe and jump into it right away and take massive action. And with massive action, massive belief like that, massive faith, you're always going to get massive results. You guys have a great day.
David, great job. Thank you for plugging into the podcast and putting your takeaway out there, because I don't know if everyone can have a tie like that or a suit like that, but when you are filming your takeaway, make sure you are tagging everybody in the agency. Make sure you're tagging the agency and using the hashtags as well. And so, David, thank you for constantly being there for the agency. Now, we're going to move into the most important section of this podcast today. We're going to talk about Jake Hogan and his meteoric rise to fame here within his first year. So we'd like to welcome Jake onto the call. Jake, thank you, sir, for being here today.
Yeah, of course. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. So, Jake, what we want to make sure everybody gets to know you a little bit today,
yeah.
Right? And so, if you can, talk to them about what you were doing prior to American Income, and because you were a mechanic before, correct?
Yeah.
And so, how long were you a mechanic, and how did you ultimately end up getting into that business prior to American Income?
So, I was a mechanic for about 2 years, working on cars. I got into it because my brother actually runs his own shop out here in Phoenix, and he needs some help. So after I was done with college, it was a quick job to just pick up and go, something to get into while I figure out what I wanted to do, which I didn't know what that was just yet, right? So yeah, I did that for about 2 years, do the mechanic and stuff, and I liked it a lot, and I had a good time with it. And then I ended up kind of coming across David, right?
Yeah.
Do you want me to go into that a little bit?
Well, and so you were a mechanic for 2 years. Did you see that as being the end-all, be-all, or was it just kind of something that was there until you found ultimately what you wanted to do?
Yeah, I mean, it was a passion of mine. I like working on cars. I've always had like really big dreams, and with what I wanted to do, and I knew the car shop wasn't going to be my vehicle to get there.
Okay.
So I loved doing it, and I enjoyed my time there, but I knew I needed to find something that was you know, a little bit better for me and a better fit for me. I can grow a little bit more.
Well, good. And so that is a good transition into ultimately how you got here, because your story is not normally how the recruitment process goes, right? Yeah. And so how did you end up meeting David, and how did you end up getting recruited into the company?
Yeah, so I actually I met David through, I was working out at the gym. We had a mutual friend, Matt Agnetti, who happened to be training him for his show, like a physique show that he was doing at the time. Luckily, right, a week later, I found him on Instagram. This is before David had an Instagram, right, before he promoted himself. And I just decided to follow him to see how he did in his show. You know, sure enough, you know, 6, 7, 8 months later, he was doing really well and had these really cool videos on Instagram. And I was like, I don't remember him, you know, doing all these big things. I just met him real quick at the gym, and so I kind of reached out to him. And then we kind of linked up and hit it off and went from there.
Okay, so you met him, so like 7, 8 months prior to ultimately having a conversation about the business.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And then, and like you said, you got to see his Instagram prior to it, you know, becoming ultimately what it is now. And so, how did that go? I mean, was it a straightforward process once you met with David? Were you all in, or how did your recruitment process go?
So I reached out to David to ask him what he did, and I had a lot of questions about what it was, and he just decided, like, hey, it'd be better to just talk in person, and said that, you know, we should just meet up at the gym or something like that. He was a little late to the workout, but yeah, we talked it. He kind of told me the basics. I don't really know what it was too much. He just said, you know, we do the police officer, firefighter, and veteran benefits, and it's really cool. And really, the one question I had for him is, do you think I can make more money here with you than I'm doing at the car shop right now? And I told him how much he made, and he was confident. He said, yeah, that's not a problem. And so the next day, he invited me to his house, and you know, he's like, I'll get you your study materials. I thought I was getting books or something. It was like online. I didn't really know what it was, but you know, he told me, you know, pass your test in a week. It's really easy. Everyone passes it really fast. So once I started studying, I got a little nervous because I was like, this isn't that easy. Yeah. But I only had 7 days to do it. And yeah, so it's pretty straightforward. I pretty much, when he told me, you know, what he could do and what kind of money he could make, I was pretty much all in. And I told him, yeah, I'd kind of follow him and do whatever he needs me to do.
So you talk about the business, and ultimately your question was, can I make more money? Yeah. And then within 7 days you passed?
Yeah. So yeah, he Yeah, he pretty much told me at his apartment that everyone passes in like a week, and that if I did that, he'd pay for my study material. So at the time, I'm like, you know, great, you know, save a few $100 there or whatever.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a great deal. So I just started, you know, studying the next day. Pretty much whenever I could find time to study, I did.
But you were still working as a mechanic, correct?
Yeah.
So how did you find, like, so you passed within 7 days with a full-time job. How did you get that done? What was your schedule like? How did you make the time for that?
So I think a little bit of it comes back to college, where you get good at finals, right?
Yeah.
Everyone heard of those things, finals. You don't sleep for a little while. So pretty much I would wake up around 5:36 to get to the car shop around 7. I'd leave around 6, get home at 7. So I finished my routine of dinner and gym and stuff. And pretty much I'd study between 9 and 1 in the morning, sometimes a little bit later than that.
Wow.
Be back up at 5:30, and I did that Monday through Friday. Studied 10 or 12 hours on Saturday and Sunday each day. And then Monday I took off work, pulled an all-nighter, and I passed. So
Got the job done.
Tuesday, yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, just kind of got it out of the way fast. I told him I'd make it happen, and he told me I needed to make it happen, so it worked.
And you made it happen. Well,
Yeah.
and so I think that mindset and that mentality, Jake, though, is what translated into the success that you had, because you were promoted to a supervising agent relatively quickly, correct?
Yeah, 4 weeks, yeah.
4 weeks. And so and then MGA in 4 months.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it seems like we just need to tell you to go hit these marks, and you're just going to go get it done. I mean, because you got it done. You found a way to win and get the test done, although it sounds like you slept like 3 or 4 hours that week.
Yeah.
But then you were promoted to MGA in 4 months. I mean, talk about that, because you didn't know anything about business. Were you kind of naturally a leader? I mean, did you lead people at the mechanic shop? I mean, were you in that circumstance before?
So I'd had some like stuff in high school where I was like,
Yeah.
you know, a class president, and I did some stuff and talking in front of people, and I love to talk to people, but I've never done sales or been in a leadership position before. No, I'd never been in management or anything like that. I think how I got to the supervising agent so fast, and you know, from there to the MGA position, was I pretty much hounded David every day and asked him what I need to do to get to that SA position. I mean, I asked him probably 6, 7, 8 times a week on what I need to do to get there, right? And I bugged him a lot about it, and pretty much everything he told me to do, I just did it. I didn't really question anything David said.
Yeah.
I pretty much took it for the truth and for the facts that I needed to get it done. So that's pretty much what I did, and I think he saw how much I wanted it, and I was
Yeah.
pretty much willing to do whatever he said, and I was probably bugging him a little much, so he probably just gave me the position,
Yeah.
supervising agent at the end of my first month. Yeah.
Good. What was your mindset going in? I mean, because not many people come in just constantly bugging their mentor about like, hey, what do I got to do to get to the next level? How do I get promoted? How do I run an office? You know, that's normally not how it goes. So what is it about you, Jake? Is it your goals? You know, what was your mindset going in to where you were just so hungry to get it done?
Yeah, I think going into it, I was actually in this like really rough patch right before I got into the business and started training. So unfortunately, a house got robbed, so I lost a lot of money. I got paid in cash, so I couldn't afford bills, couldn't afford Christmas, so it was tough. Pretty much owed a lot of people money. So this first month, David's like, hey, like, it's fine, we'll make it happen. Like, I'll tell you what to do, you do it, and you'll make your money. So I think first month I made almost 10 grand. I was able to pay everyone back, plus keep a little bit extra. And yeah, it's just my mentality. I worked a lot of hours at the car shop, so I just decided I'll transition those long hours into this. And whether I was good at it or not, I knew it'd pay off as long as I just outworked everybody.
How old were you when you got into the business?
I think I was 22.
22 when you got licensed.
Yeah.
Wow. And so you were MGA in 4 months, advisory council first year,
Same year.
6 figures your first year. You know, what is it? What's the next goal for you when you think about, you know, what you were able to accomplish in your first year? I mean, you're building quite the resume. So talk to the newest person in the room about what would be the next stepping stone for you, and talk about what your goals are at this point.
So at this point, just kind of helping my guys get to, you know, figure out the business. I know everyone has different stages. I know Jessie, believe it or not, probably quit the business more than most, right? I'd get a lot of calls from her, struggling a little bit here and there, but just the persistency. So I want to help people get through it quicker and easier than I did, right? So, you know, give them the same stepping stones I had to learn, try to give them the cheat codes to get past that, and so they can get, so just trying to, you know, get some leaderships going, right? Get some MGAs built, try to take my RGA ship by the end of the year is a really good goal. want to stay on the advisory council, obviously, so I want to maintain my growth and stuff. Trying to get on stage at one of the conventions would be huge. I'd love to talk to everyone out there and give them a piece of some knowledge. And yeah, so just keep growing the business, keep bringing in friends and whoever I can, and show them how to change their lives ultimately.
Yeah, good. Well, and so what are you doing because you're now how old, 23?
24. Yeah.
24, okay, so 24 years old, what are you doing to develop yourself? Because we have so many people coming into this business around that age, right? 22, 24, 26 years old. But a lot of them, like yourself, maybe weren't in leadership before. Maybe they've never run a sales team or been in sales before. And so how would you encourage them to develop their mindset, develop their skill set, outside of, because when the sun's up, that's when we got to go make money, right? But what did you do outside of those hours to develop Jake to be the leader that you are today, to MGA in 4 months, advisory council first year? How did you develop yourself and your mindset?
So, I mean, I like a lot of podcasts and stuff. Gary Vee is one of my favorite. Andy Frisella. They got kind of a different mindset, but I like it. I think I click with them well. But I think the biggest thing is just plug into your mentors. There's 3 rules when I came in here, and the first rule is listen to your mentor. The second rule is if you don't know what to do, ask your mentor. And then the third rule is nothing else matters. So it's something that they preached a lot when I came in. So I pretty much learned everything I do and how to do it from David, from Dustin, from you, from pretty much all the mentors that we have at office, Dustin Vandekamp and Dustin Dunbar, Eugene as well. Like I pretty much just picked those guys' brains. If I didn't know what to do, call them, text them, figure out what they would do in that situation. And as you do that consistently over the course of a year, you learn exactly how they would respond to a lot of situations, right? So that's how I kind of grew, is just really plugging into the leadership. And if you don't know what to do, just ask your mentors, and that's usually your best route to learn how to do it right?
Absolutely. So with that being said, what is it that you're focused on for yourself and your business this year the most? So obviously you guys had a lot of success, but going forward this year, what would you say is your biggest goal? Because you mentioned RGA and developing MGAs, but would that be your biggest goal, is to develop your first MGA?
Yeah, I definitely want to get my first MGA up and going. Want to make sure they're successful. I know David had a big goal that's, I kind of transitioned, took that to just make as many 6-figure earners as possible. And this year I think it's going to be a good year for that. I think we'll have a couple on the team, which I'm really excited for. So I think that would be huge, because it's a lot of impact on someone's lives to go from working 9 to 5, 10, 15 bucks an hour, something like I was doing, into making 6 figures. It's a big transition, but it's exciting and it's cool to watch people do that, right?
Absolutely. I mean, especially when you look at the suit that you're in right now, that's not a mechanic, not a 9 to 5, $15 an hour suit. So that it is amazing when you can see the transition. Because how would you say your life has been able to change? Because we've seen you and Jesse travel. We've seen some of the trips that you guys have been able to take. How would you say life has changed over the last year, because of the opportunity from American Income?
I mean, just financially better off. Can kind of get some stuff you want to get whenever you want it, whether it's clothes or if you want to take a little 3-4 day vacation. I've been to Cabo, I think 3 times now. We got to go to Puerto Penasco, so back to Mexico. I've got to go to Lake Tahoe, Vegas. I really got to travel
Bahamas?
a lot with it.
You went to the Bahamas too, right?
Yeah, we went to the Bahamas for Christmas on a cruise. That was exciting. So yeah, a lot of stuff I wasn't able to do prior, right? Just due to lack of money, right? Big reason why I came in here. But yeah, I think that was a lot of it, right? Got to help my family a lot out, help my mom with some bills. Christmas went really well this year. Got to spend a lot more money on the family and stuff, which is always exciting. But yeah, it just got me in a better mindset overall. I can take my friends out to food, take my family out to food. Just a little bit more like free to do some stuff that I wasn't able to do before.
And how would you say your mindset has grown from the being an employee and just kind of the day-to-day, the 9 to 5, just worrying about the task at hand, right? Now when you're growing a business, right, and you're thinking like a business owner and all the moving parts, how would you say your mindset has now shifted and grown in the last almost year and a half for yourself?
Well, I think at first, like, that 6-figure mark's a big mark for everybody, right? Everyone wants to have their first 6-figure year. And so once I did that, going to these conventions and stuff, you really start to see, like, what's possible, right? So, like, most people would be, happy with that. I wasn't. I think our numbers were a little short of what they should have been. That's okay, right? That's what we have this year and next year and so on. But, talking with, the big names, Mark Nielsen and Jenny and all them over at the other, offices that are doing really well, it's crazy to see their numbers, and it's possible, and you're not quite there yet, so you have that room to grow, right? So it's a different mindset where a lot of people would be happy with writing 4,000 a week, which is great, but then you start seeing these numbers. I think Jenny Kim wrote 29,000 last week in a couple of days and 4 field days, and so you see the levels, right? There's levels to this thing, and I think it's exciting. I think once you have that mindset of, like, there's bigger and better things as long as you keep pushing and growing. Because MGA is great, but there's RGA and NGA and IGA and all the way up to SGA and VP of sales, right? So
absolutely. Well, and so what's been, like, the most impactful part of this for you? Because obviously it sounds like financially things have gotten a lot better, and you're allowed to have time and money now, right, and travel and do all these things. What would you say the biggest impact that the business has had on you, personally in your life?
I think just growth as, like, a leader. I don't think I had a lot of leadership skills before. I think I've just learned a lot through, David and Bennekamp and Dunbar and really everybody. So just being a leader, and so that comes into day-to-day play and stuff like that too. So, like, stuff outside of the business, I feel like I've just grown as a person, as a business person, stuff like that. I think I've just understand a lot of things more, right? Just grown as a person, right? A lot of things. So it's mentality, grown as, just understanding how businesses are run, hiring process. I mean, there's so much, right? But it's just grown a lot overall, right? And it's only been a year, just over a year. So excited to see what.
Well, and so is there anything that you want to, end the podcast with today about, speaking to the newest agent out there, right? Whether it be the newest hire or maybe the newest supervising agent, and now they're managing somebody and dealing with the, the whirlwind that comes with that. So anything that you want to kind of end the podcast with today about, speaking to the new agent?
I think for all the new agents out there, I think your best bet is to find someone that has what you want, gravitate towards them, and just pick their brain. I mean, literally bug them if you have to. Call them 5, 6, 7, 8 times a week, every single day. Text them, call them. Like, be excited to learn from them. Be excited to go to dinners with them and buy their dinner, right? Take them out, like, pick their brain, because if they have what you want, right, and they're doing what you want to be doing one day, just they'll tell you how to do it. This business isn't complicated. It's pretty simple, but it does require a lot of work. But, like, if you just pick their brains and you're persistent with it, they'll see that, they'll gravitate towards you. They'll start pulling you in closer because they see how much you want it, right? And I think that'll take you guys a long way, right, in doing that.
Good. Well, and Jake, I'm very excited to have your story shared, because when you talk about the commitment that you showed from the very beginning, just okay, get it done in 7 days. Got it done in 7 days. Slept maybe 6 hours, 7 hours the whole week, but found a way to win, right? Just regardless, because we all have life events, right? But you still found a way to win. But then, supervising agent, bugging David constantly. How do I do it? How do I do it? How do I do it? Get it done in 4 weeks. MGA in 4 months. Advisory council, 6 figures your first year. I think the biggest thing that I take away from your story, Jake, is just the persistence, right? It just okay, you set your eyes on a target and you go get it done. And so, to the newest person out there, that's such a valuable skill to have, and just we all have those goals, but there's always that fear that comes with stretching yourself and growing yourself and changing and adapting. But like Jake said, reach out to your mentors and talk to David about how much Jake bugged him every single day about, how do I get promoted, how do I do this, how do I do that, and just stay in tune with your mentors, because like Jake said, when you know what you want and you find someone that has that lifestyle, that family life, the personal life, the professional life, and all of those things, make sure you stay close to them. Attach your little red wagon to their little red wagon and just follow them to where you want to go. So Jake, we appreciate you being on the podcast today. We hope you guys have another outstanding week of production out there. Go get it done for those families. But let's wrap up the week in a very, very big fashion, ending tomorrow. So let's go out there and get all that business in to get those $10,000 plaques for every single one of you that deserve them. So let's go make this our best week ever, and we'll see you next week with a big surprise.